Now, in 2012, then Vice President John Dramani Mahama launched the afforestation component of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, SADA. The component was expected to plant some 50 million trees, and the whole project was expected to cost some 75 million Ghana cedis. We're told 85% of these trees survived, but 4 years on, when we're talking deforestation, Ghana pops up in the midst of all these. There's hope, we're told. I have Paul Hall, Executive Director, Form International, to help us understand how we can prioritize issues of afforestation and also touch on the International Working Conference on building new forest for Africa. So good morning to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
First of all, are you able to quantify where we stand? I mean, how much forest are we losing as Ghana?
Well, in the 1980s there was still 8 million hectares of forest, and today we have only about 1 million hectares left. So it is not a very positive picture, so to say.
What have we done with all the forests?
Yes, it was partly for forest production for timber export. It was for illegal logging and legal logging. Partly it was sustainable, partly it was not sustainable. And at the end, with the farming and the burning, we got a degraded situation, I think. Yes.
Do you see us strategically planting trees to make up for the losses?
Oh, definitely. I think I work now for 25 years in Africa, mainly in Ghana, and we see there is a very strong link from farmers with trees. So the link is there, but we have to do it better. We have to improve it and to come to tree planting, which is really about getting the right revenues out of it. And I think that is what is lacking today. There is tree planting, but there's no maintenance, for example.
So generally, when you plant trees, you have to maintain?
Yes, the principle is you have to plant and then you have to thin out. The plant and the trees have to breathe, so you thin it out after 5 years, and you have to do that very consistently. If you do that, the trees are growing, and it's fantastically to see that you can make nice money of that. And we see farmers, we see private sector who are making money with trees worldwide. And my big dream is that in collaboration with all the stakeholders here, that we can come to that practical implementation.
Can are individuals also encouraged to plant trees? What can we have in our immediate environment, our immediate surroundings?
Yes, there are farmers in Ghana, but also in Africa, busy with planting trees. Part of it is just to make the land more sustainable with tree planting and agriculture. But you see also that people are planting trees with the aim to get finally timber out of it, or charcoal. And we are busy now with this conference, which is starting tomorrow, to have all the stakeholders together, because we realize the climate talk in Paris was very nice, was a very nice political commitment, but now we have to go back to reality. We have to do tree planting. And that is in fact, in a nutshell, what it's all about. To talk with governments, with banks, with the private sector, with the communities, with the NGOs. How can we increase the numbers? Because today there is a very good policy in Ghana on tree planting, but the reality is that it is not possible yet to plant enough per year.
So ideally, how many trees should we be planting in a year?
Well, if you look at the climate commitments from the government of Ghana, the aim is to plant at least 8 million hectares by 2030. But the reality is that it is between 10 and 20,000 hectares a year, which will not arrive at that target. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what is essential. I think that we are really here with, so to say, the forest farmers, and talk about how we do it, not only in Ghana. There are people from Tanzania, people from Niger, from Kenya, and they will share their knowledge.
Okay.
And part of them, they were very successful already, so they can tell how you do it.
You're familiar with Tanzania. How different is the situation from what exists here in Ghana?
I would say that in Tanzania, the maturity of plantations, they are much older, mainly in Tanzania. But in Ghana, we see a very good land tenure system coming up. Land lease systems where you can sign directly as an investor with the traditional landowner, with the stool, and with the government. So I think Ghana has a good legal framework, so they can access now. They can access this finance, they can get it, and they can move on to a much bigger scale of tree planting. It's possible.
Okay, so who'll be speaking at the conference?
There will be about 15 to 20 international speakers from mainly Africa, and we are very happy that Mr. Kofi Annan will have a keynote speech on this topic. And I think the key motivation for Mr. Annan was to talk about sustainability in a broader sense, not only about forestry but also agriculture. And he is very committed because the agenda is very pragmatic and practical. So we are very happy to have him on board. And we have two ministers of the Ghana government, the Minister of Environment, the Minister of Natural Lands, Lands and Natural Resources. And we have a strong delegation from Tanzania. So in fact, all the major stakeholders, finance, government, implementing agency are there, really with the aim, how can we boost it? How can we create more forests, new forests for Africa? That is mainly what the topic is.
Are we setting any agendas and given timelines?
Definitely. There is a very concrete agenda on main conclusions. Well, I'm a tree planter.
Okay.
I have to talk, but we have really to talk here about how many trees, how many hectares, and how are we doing it. It's not just the political part of it.
Yeah.
That has been done for 20 years. We have to plant now.
Okay. So we're setting definite agendas. And are we measuring them along the line? Are we coming back, sitting down again and assessing how much of the agenda that we set that we've accomplished?
Yeah, that's a very valid point. The measurement of the targets, I think that is also why we are here as stakeholders. We have to keep ourselves sharp on this.
Sure.
We cannot just play a game and say, yes, we had a nice dinner in Paris and the climate talk was fantastic and we will do our best. I think it's not enough. We have to take this more seriously.
Sure. So is this a one-day conference?
It's a 2-day conference. It's really a working conference, so it's on invitation. But we hope to have a lot of awareness creation on this, because we believe that in a nutshell each African is a farmer and has a kind of link with the trees. That's my feeling. Okay.
We will sit back and watch the what you do at the conference bear some trees. We will measure what happens on the ground after the conference.
Thank you.
But thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing. That's Paul Hall, Executive Director, Form International. Stay with us. You're watching the AM show. There's still a lot more to come.